Let me tell you a story. It was not a dramatic day on the calendar. No inspection, no graduation, no ribbon cutting. But it was the day the school almost broke. Two senior teachers were in open conflict. Not the quiet professional kind, the kind that leaks into the faculty room, divides staff, and turns meetings into battlefields. One demanded fairness, the other demanded recognition. Both demanded that the principal do something. Now, here is the moment that matters. The principal knew the policy. She had the authority. She could have cited guidelines, issued memos, and reminded everyone who was in charge. That approach, some might argue, is the most efficient leadership. But research challenges that assumption. Like Baron, as discussed in the role of educational intelligence in educational leadership, argues that leadership effectiveness begins with emotional regulation and empathy, not authority. In contrast, Khan et al. Suggest that EI predicts leadership performance mainly when it translates into charismatic leadership, when emotions are not just managed but communicated powerfully. So, which approach works in real schools? Back to the story, the principal did not start with discipline. She started with silence. She listened. She noticed the tension in voices, the defensiveness, the fear behind the anger. This aligns with Morales, who found that principal self and social awareness directly reduce teacher stress and increase self-efficacy. She addressed emotions before addressing the issues. But listening alone was not enough. Khan et al. Would argue that EI without visible leadership risks being passive. And they are right. After listening, the principal spoke with clarity, empathy, and firmness. She reframed the conflict around shared purpose. She did not choose sides. She chooses the school. This moment reflects a critical debate in the literature. Baron emphasizes EI as an internal capacity, self-control, empathy, awareness. Khan emphasizes EI as an external force, presence, influence, performance. In schools, conflict resolution demands both. Feel too little, and you become authoritarian. Feel too much, and you become ineffective. Raimundo et al. Described EI as the mechanism through which leaders manage emotions in themselves and others to improve conflict outcomes. Morales goes further, identifying relationship management as the most influential EI component in resolving school-based conflict. And here is what happened next. The teachers did not leave the room as friends, but they left as professionals. The staff room grew quiet again. The school did not fracture. Ahmed et al. Would not be surprised. The research shows that emotionally intelligent leadership correlates with positive school climate, higher teacher satisfaction, and stronger student engagement. The role of emotional intelligence and educational leadership adds that emotionally supportive leadership results in fewer disciplinary problems, not just among students, but among adults. This story illustrates a truth Berger captured well. Educational leadership is emotional labor, and emotional intelligence is not something leaders are born with. It is something they build, reflect on, and practice over time. This is reinforced by exploring the role of emotional intelligence in educational leadership, which confirms that EI can be developed through intentional professional learning. So, what is the lesson? Conflict in school is inevitable. What is optional is how it ends. Policies do not heal relationships. Authority does not restore trust. Emotional intelligence does. Mahfouz, drawing from Mayer and Salovey, reminds us that EI shapes leaders' value-laden decisions, the ones that cannot be solved by rules alone. In moments of conflict, leaders are not remembered for the policies they quoted, but for how they made people feel while enforcing them. Here is my position. In schools, conflict is not a leadership failure. It is a leadership test. And emotional intelligence is the difference between a school that survives conflict and a school that grows from it. That day, the school did not break, not because of policy, not because of authority, but because the leader understood something simple and powerful. Before you can fix a problem in a school, you must first understand the people living inside it. Thank you.